Hello, how have you been? We're already at chapter 3. It's finally a design theory chapter. Did you make a design after finishing chapter 1? If you did, give yourself a compliment. For homework, if you get ideas on how to make designs as you go through this chapter, take notes right away, or pause the video and draw them. You'll make better designs that way. Enough with the intro, let's get right into it. We're going to learn many design theories, and the first thing we'll cover is considering the viewer. Consider the viewer. Upon seeing the title, I think you got what it's about. This applies to both illustrations and concept art. The most important thing in painting is conveying the theme to the viewer. We talked about it in the previous chapter. Let's go over it again. The theme is what you want to convey, and painting is a means of expression. The viewer is the person who looks at your painting, and the thing you want to express before you paint is the theme. Painting is a means of communication, and it must clearly convey the theme to the viewer. So when you paint, you must always make sure that the viewer can understand what you painted upon seeing it for the first time. Could the viewer immediately understand what you painted upon seeing it? That's the point. As we make designs, we must explain our purpose, but the best paintings don't require an explanation. Let's read this together. Things to consider as you make designs. The artist knows what they designed, but they often make the mistake of not conveying it properly to the viewers. We already know everything. As we planned the design, gathered references, combined it, fixed it, and such, we took a long time to complete the painting, so we already know all the hidden elements in it. But that's not the case for the viewers. Imagine someone passing by who doesn't know what you painted, and they looked at your painting for about 3 seconds for the first time. Will they understand what you painted in 3 seconds? Or will they understand your intention? Will the theme be conveyed to them? Why does that happen? Because they fail to predict what the viewers think when they see the painting. Because of that, we must check it again from the viewer's perspective. We have to predict what people think when they see certain things. All visual elements remind us of a primary image. Everything has a primary image. I call this the primary image here, but it's a word I made up, so I don't know if it actually exists. Anyway, that's what I'm calling it in my class, so please remember it. So what is the primary image? Let's see it together with the following examples. Yellow reminds us of childish, chick, and a warm feeling. Thorns remind us of sharp, aggressive, and the feeling of getting poked. Octopuses remind us of tentacles, slimy, and squishy. Butterflies and flowers remind us of pretty and aromatic. Fire reminds us of hot and spicy. Even red could remind us of hot and spicy. Foxes remind us of fast, cunning, or cute. We feel these things upon seeing them. When you see an object, you are reminded of a primary image. These images will differ between consumer groups. We often have similar images of things we see. So we must anticipate the primary images as we make designs. That's how you consider the viewers. You should use primary images to clearly convey the theme you want to express. I'll give an example with the characters I drew. Here are some examples of using primary images. Let's see. The green liquid in the sharp syringe reminds us of poison or medicine. Purple is also a good color to express poison. And with the red mushrooms added to the head, we can indicate these are poison mushrooms. This allows the viewers to guess that this character uses something related to poison. Red mushrooms represent poisonous mushrooms, and the light green liquid and syringe hints that this character injects something like poison. So the viewer can naturally think that this character either uses or injects poison. Next, we have a fox merchant character. The yellow outfit adds a childish and youthful feeling. As I said, yellow gives warmth and a childish feeling. And as she's clearly holding an abacus, we can tell this character frequently does calculations. I wanted to express she's a merchant with it. I added this jangu drum as a traditional element, and by making her hang her outerwear like this, I made her look less formal and more casual and folk-like. We get the image of a young tribal fox girl with a job related to calculating from IT. Next, we have this character named Rondo. The blue and light blue colors make her look calm. Conversely, you'd use red for enthusiasm and energy. And with the silhouette of the witch hat and this broom added to the painting, we can guess that this character is close to a witch. Not only colors, but also distinct tools, and the silhouette of them have primary images. Please remember that. The metal circles on the hat suggest she's a mouse. Like this. Although it isn't that clear, some observant viewers might look at the mouse icon and realize these are ears, and notice she's a mouse character. Next, we have a character named Risk. With a handcuff-shaped halo above her head, I gave the image of prisoner, escape, and crime. And with the handcuffs and straitjacket, I completed the image of a criminal and prisoner. The red eyes also go well with crazy characters. Also, instead of being straight, we have zigzagging, untied straps on the body that shows she's unstable, or that she is freed from her restraints and is completely mad. It shows she isn't in a normal state. She also has scars on her body and sharp teeth. These visual elements don't stand out that much, but they help build the mood of the character. With these examples, we can see how these visual elements remind us of primal images. By using visual elements to help the viewers think of primary images, we can consider the viewers, but it's pretty difficult to do. If it's hard to learn this feeling, try asking your friends if they can feel what you intended to express and ask for their opinions. That way, you can get the hang of expressing images so they are interpreted the way you intended. Here are some tips I'd like to share. There are things people often use in paintings. These things are what the public is used to. Highly symbolic keywords are often used in the media, so they are easy to convey and express. They give distinct and familiar images to the public. Maid, Japanese school uniforms, you'd often see these keywords on social media. Keywords that are frequently exposed to the public are already covered in various media, so they're easily conveyed in any painting. They give a familiar and clear image to the public. Let's see. A maid would have a ruffled headband, a frilly apron, a contrast of black and white, and cleaning tools. These things make up a maid. It's a familiar keyword to the public, and it's clear what reminds them of a maid. We get dedication, service, clean, and coziness, which are positive images from them. Japanese school uniforms are also frequently used. The collar, ribbon, and pleated dress. We feel liveliness, student, young, and cute from them. I also use these keywords a lot. Here I combined SF and maid. Here, we have a ruffled headband, an apron, the contrast of black and white. There's also a cleaning tool, a vacuum cleaner. Here, I used a Japanese school uniform collar and pleated dress, so it feels like a school uniform. Using keywords the public is used to is a good design method. It's because they're easy to change, they give a clear image to the public, and they feel positive. If you want to express a maid, then paint a ruffled headband, an apron, and a black and white contrast to give a strong feeling of a maid. And by drawing a collar, ribbon, and pleated dress, you can convey the freshness of a student. Using materials familiar to the public like this is a good design method. So keep these keywords in mind and use them. There's a reason people draw them a lot. Here's the second tip. Just show things enough to express the theme. Just show things enough to express the theme. It took a long time for me to fix this area. Since it's very helpful, I hope you all pay attention to it. Let me explain it with an example again. I fixed an old concept art I made. Here's what it was like before I fixed it. It's hard to tell what she is. She's an SF hunter who uses ski poles that shoot like guns as a weapon and is also a cop. Her skin is blue and it's slightly frozen. She's in a cold region, so she has Nordic patterns, blah blah. The viewer can't tell what they're looking at. They would if I explained, but we find slight variations of familiar things novel. If everything is new, or if too many things are mixed, they can't get it. So I fixed it. I made it very clear. This is a cop working in a cold region. That's why she's wearing skis. If you bend the ski poles, they turn into guns. The blue uniform reminds the viewer of cops, and the skis and trapper hat tells them she's in a cold region. It's better to naturally express things without tedious explanation. As you just saw, too many elements make it harder to comprehend. It's hard to show a hunter and cop simultaneously, and it's hard to mix Eastern and Western elements. You have to sort out the theme you want to show. There is a word for this phenomenon. Here's what it is. There is a word called Mo Chimera. Glasses, mofang, eye patch, heterochromia, pigtails, cat ears, school uniform, swimsuit, devil tail, and yandere. All these elements would look cute separately, but with all of them together, they don't. We can't tell what this character is at all at first glance. This is what my painting was like before fixing it. I tried to show too many things, but I ended up showing nothing. It's a common mistake artists make. Because of that, though it isn't a written rule, I try not to express more than 3 themes. Let me show you an example. These are some paintings I made with the themes. Hanbok, traditional Korean clothes and autumn leaves, sailor uniform, ocean, wave. Those are the themes here. Maid, candle, and angel. Angel wings, maid, and such. That's how I make designs. I select a few themes I really want to show and design them hard. But don't take this as if you're never allowed to show more than 3 themes. As you paint, you might think it's too excessive or hard to recognize. And you could ask others if they understand it, and if they can't, then you should reduce the number of themes. It's good to think about it this way. Isn't it easier to understand with examples? You might think this is such a childish and simple design method, but variations of familiar things are easier to understand. It would be nice if people spend all day trying to guess what I painted, but as I said, people don't look at our paintings that long. Even we only spend 3 seconds on images on social media. 3 seconds, good painting, 3 seconds, good painting, and we keep scrolling down. If it's an image of your favorite video game character, you'd spend more time looking at it, but in most cases, we show our paintings to an unspecified group. So, we should consider the viewers and make the themes easier to understand. That's all I prepared for considering the viewers. Here's the second design theory, selecting the visual theme. We all have various themes we want to show. But if you're a beginner, pick easier themes. Here's an example theme I came up with in freelancer with a tragic backstory as they lost their loved one. Upon seeing this, do you think you can express this visually? When choosing themes, consider if you can express them visually. We could express the personality of a character in a painting, but we must check their backstory to learn their character arc. Let's see. To show they lost their loved one, we could draw a crying face. They'd go boo-hoo, or we could make them hold their body. That's too hard. Or we could draw a brooch around the heart, and the brooch is broken like this. We could manage to express it, but it's a bit hard. They could hold the body of their loved one, and they have a tragic backstory. That would be losing their loved one. We could draw a pale, depressed face with dark circles, and that's all I can think of. Gloomy. We could also make them lie down. Wah, nothing goes my way. And we have freelancer. It's hard to express a freelancer. Since they can freely get more work, they might have a lot of work to do. Maybe there's a stack of paper. Like, they could have stacks of paper piled up. It's such a hard theme to express. On the other hand, let's look at a theme that is easy to express. Animal keeper that's afraid of animals. If we think about this theme, we could draw a bunch of cute animals and a scared person with an anxious face. That'll be very easy. Let's see. We have cute animals, this cat, chick, penguin, and hamster all around here, and they're shaking in fear. These animals are so cute, and the animal keeper is afraid of them. We have gloves to protect them from animal bites, some food, and a bucket. We can express the theme this way. The whistle, name tag, and the apron can also express they're an animal keeper. As you see, if I get an animal keeper afraid of animals as a theme, I can easily express it. So don't try to convey a hard and complex theme. If you're a beginner, it's better to choose easier themes to convey. Like the maid or Japanese school uniform, it's better to use keywords that can clearly express the theme. Fantasy job classes can also be used as examples. Warrior, thief, archer, mage. Just like the maid and Japanese school uniform, these job classes were covered in numerous media. Warrior reminds us of sword, armor, strength, brave, shield, and heavy. Thief reminds us of dagger, throwing weapon, quick, agile, and speed. Archer reminds us of bow, arrow, elf, cape, and ranged weapon. Mage reminds us of mana, magic circle, cane, hat, rope, tome. These classes remind us of clear images. It's also clear how these job classes feel. So, they're the most recommended themes for beginners. If you didn't paint these themes yet, and you're having trouble choosing themes, I recommend that you paint these themes. If you consider how to visually express themes when you pick them, you can make designs easier. I also prepared a related tip. It's the importance of selecting the right theme. Tip: the importance of selecting the right theme. If you want to make a highly appealing painting, it's important to select the right theme. If you're planning to paint an empty field that looks fancy, it's most likely not going to happen. Your painting will always come out as how you planned it. You can't write 2 and expect to get 580 as the answer. Let's see an example. Instructor, I want to draw a cool and awesome character. It's going to be like a AA blockbuster movie. What are you going to draw? An NPC tavern keeper. That'll be hard, unless that person is a retired dragon master. Like that, if you make a tavern keeper who would use fire and water magic, wearing a set of shining armor with a cape flapping cool and all, they won't look like a tavern keeper at all. It's so far off the theme, it's rather the opposite of it. This is why you must carefully pick the theme. You have to choose the right theme that goes along with what you want to paint. Selecting the theme is the first step in planning and determines your motivation. It is the important key that helps you finish the painting. It's okay to take your time selecting the theme. But how should we select the theme? Each theme has a different area of attraction. As I said earlier, a tavern keeper is better at conveying the background and atmosphere of a video game. Playable characters should be fancy and unique. They shouldn't make the users bored as they play with them. As such, the costumes that express job characteristics might not be able to deliver an intense or unique point, but they can tell us about the fictional world, the outfits in that world, the environment, and more. Right here, we have a cook, and we can guess the level of the fictional world, the outfit people usually wear, how developed the metalworking is, how advanced their science and technology are, just by the outfit he's wearing. Cook. An idea is loved by the public, and pretty themes have a hard time revealing the fictional world, but they easily attract attention. To make impactful designs loved by a huge audience, I recommend making idea sketches until you get clever and innovative ideas. With this cat made, we can't tell the fictional world or anything, but these design points, they feel cute, and they attract positive attention from people. Each theme has a different area of attraction. Depending on what you want to draw, you should select different themes accordingly. Okay? So, it's okay to take your time selecting the theme. It's very important. That's all I prepared for selecting visual themes. The next topic of the day is silhouettes. You've probably heard of silhouettes a lot. Silhouettes are important. Silhouettes are the basis of design and such. I'm sure you've all heard about it many times. Since we're learning about design fundamentals, we can't skip past it. Let's slowly learn why silhouettes are important together. When we see an object, we naturally separate it from the background. I'll show you. The mass of that object is called a silhouette. On this curtain, we can only see the silhouettes, but we can still immediately tell which one the mage is. The area an object takes up is called positive space, and the area not taken up by the object is called negative space. You just need to know this concept. When we naturally see something, we separate the object and the background, which is why we recognize the silhouette first. By considering the silhouette as you make designs, you can emphasize desired images to the viewers. Here's another thing you should know. Even the silhouettes of basic shapes feel different. Here, we have the most basic shapes: a circle, a triangle, and a square. Circles feel smooth, gentle, and rollable. Triangles feel pointy, angular, and sharp. Squares feel stable. They also feel angular, but they're in 90-degree. They're flat and stable, and as you see, even from simple shapes, we get different images. Same class, different impression. I made different silhouettes with the same mage class. For this silhouette, I made it a bit more circular. This one is close to a square, a stable square. This one uses triangles. I made the silhouette mainly have pointy triangles. Let's go through each of them. The gentle curves give a soft impression. The variation of directions makes it more dynamic. It's a silhouette fitting for a cute mage or a low-level mage. Next, we have the center silhouette. The straight lines show the character's righteousness. The angular silhouette also makes it feel devout and persistent. This silhouette goes well with a cleric, a scholar, or any lawful mage. And lastly, the sharp and pointy silhouette feels villainous, strong, and aggressive. It'll go well with evil and oppressive dark mages, and also mages with a nasty attitude. As you see, just by changing the silhouette, they feel different. By remembering the impressions of basic shapes, you can use them in character designs. Next, we'll study how silhouettes can feel different. Making variations by changing the silhouette. Just by adding horns, this mushroom feels stronger. It looks like 10 levels higher, and these horns look so pokey. Next, we have a line of people. To this regular person, I added a hat, a helmet, and an upgraded helmet, and he looks like an SSR character you want to get. You can change the impression with silhouettes this way. To create evolution variations, we often make the silhouettes fancier. By adding horns to the mushroom, giving a hat to a person, or making the hat fancier, you can make them look stronger. If you want to drastically change characters, use silhouettes. Isn't it more fun and easier to study this way? If you imagine the volume of the character as you make designs, the 3D and orthographic drawing gets easier to make, and you can add interesting characteristics, which results in a richer design. Tip: memorize symbolic silhouettes to have an easier time. They emphasize designs and set the overall mood. Just by making it look like a witch hat, the character feels like a mage, and a cross makes things feel religious. A flag silhouette feels like a vanguard, and it also feels grand. It's good to memorize and use these silhouettes. And use silhouettes that better show the structure. For example, if we have a book, instead of using the silhouette of a closed book, make it open and flap its page to have a richer and more interesting silhouette in. Lastly, let's recap what we learned. Silhouettes are important because it's the first area that approaches the viewer. Some of you might have wondered why silhouettes are important, or if they're important at all before listening to this chapter. But as even simple shapes feel different, the volume formed by the silhouette has a huge visual impact on us. The overall feeling of the character comes from the silhouette. These are all characters I painted. They're all in different shapes, and they feel different as well. So, remember the impressions of the silhouettes from everyday objects, references, and paintings. Like the book, flag, and witch hat I mentioned earlier, think about how to show the same object with different silhouettes to look more interesting and effective. You could also roll a cub more three-dimensionally. This will give you a wider range of drawing. I'll finish the silhouette part here. We learned so many things today. Some of you might have already known these theories, and some of you might find them new and interesting. Let's review what we learned. First, consider the viewer. Make your designs recognizable, even for an unspecified group. Secondly, selecting visual themes. Be careful when you pick themes and make sure the themes you pick are visually expressible and are ones you want to paint. Thirdly, why silhouettes are important. It's the first area that approaches the viewer, and it's the area that defines a character. So the more you pay attention to the primary image formed by a silhouette, the better the design gets. Did you have fun learning? Continuing in the next chapter, we'll study more things to consider when designing characters. Please review what you learned so you don't forget it. I'll see you in the next chapter. You did a good job.